Caitlin Clark just got the last laugh after Angel Reese took another loss, this time at the hands of Clark's best friend, Kate Martin. The rivalry between Reese and Clark just took a wild turn, and this time, Clark didn't even have to step on the court to win. With the Unrivaled League heating up, Kate Martin proved she's more than just Caitlin Clark's teammate. She's Reese's worst nightmare on the court. And when Martin shut Reese down, you know Clark was loving every second of it. Before we dive into this insane showdown, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss the latest drama and action in the WNBA and Unrivaled League. Let's get into it. Angel Reese and Kate Martin have a history, but this time, Martin made a statement. In their Unrivaled League clash, Martin's Laces basketball club handed Reese's Rose BC a 71-64 loss, proving that the rivalry that started in college is alive and well. The game wasn't just about a regular season matchup. This was a grudge match. Reese and Martin have been going at it since the NCAA days, with Reese getting the upper hand in 2023 when LSU crushed Iowa in the national championship. But in 2024, Clark and Martin got their revenge, eliminating Reese's LSU squad in the Elite Eight. Now, fast forward to Unrivaled, and it's Kate Martin putting Reese back in her place once again. From the opening tip, it was clear this was going to be an all-out battle. Angel Reese, always the physical force, went straight at Martin in the first quarter, attacking the basket like she had something to prove. But Martin wasn't backing down. In one of the biggest moments of the game, she met Reese midair and sent her crashing to the floor with a hard foul. The crowd erupted. Reese may have hit her free throws, but that moment set the tone. Martin wasn't here to play nice. Social media exploded after the clip went viral. Fans couldn't stop talking about how Martin showed no fear against Reese, with one post saying, "OMG, Kate almost sent Barbie back to the bayou." Another fan added, "Kate low-key revenge fouling Angel." And one of the most brutal takes, "No way Angel scores if Kate doesn't foul her." Completely out of control. The intensity of this rivalry is unmatched, and Kate Martin made sure everyone knew she wasn't backing down from Angel Reese. Clark and Martin have been best friends for years, battling together in Iowa and taking their team to historic heights. And now, with Clark leading the WNBA charge and Martin shining in Unrivaled, it's clear they still have each other's backs. When Martin walked off the court victorious over Reese, it wasn't just a personal win, it was a win for Team Clark. Caitlin Clark has always been one of the most competitive athletes in women's basketball. You think she wasn't hyped seeing Reese take another L? The same Angel Reese who taunted her on the biggest stage in college basketball, the same Angel Reese who has taken every opportunity to keep their rivalry alive. There's no doubt Clark took pure satisfaction in watching her best friend humble Reese once again. Clark doesn't even have to say anything. Her silence is louder than words. The moment Martin shut Reese down and took home the win, Clark's supporters knew exactly what was going through her mind. This is the rivalry that never dies. Angel Reese has made a name for herself as one of the biggest personalities in women's basketball, but all the talk in the world can't erase what happens on the court. Reese had a solid performance statistically, dropping 17 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists. But what does it matter when your team keeps losing? She fouled out before the game even ended, leaving Martin and the Laces to celebrate without her. The truth is, Angel Reese is struggling to translate her success to the pro level. Whether it's in the WNBA or Unrivaled, her teams are losing, and the more it happens, the louder the criticism gets. She came into Unrivaled expecting to be the star, but she's already been upstaged, first by her own teammates and now by Caitlin Clark's best friend. After the game, fans were ruthless in their analysis. Some questioned whether Reese's flashy personality was getting in the way of her game. Others pointed out that while she puts up numbers, she isn't winning, just like in the WNBA, where her Chicago Sky struggled to make an impact. And now, with another high-profile loss to Kate Martin, the pressure on Reese is only growing. She built her brand on being a competitor, but if she keeps getting humbled like this, how long until the cracks start to show? Angel Reese isn't the type to take a loss quietly, especially not one that has the entire internet talking. After getting humbled by Kate Martin and the Laces, she now has a chance at revenge. Their next game is set, and this time Reese knows all eyes will be on her. She's heard the criticism, seen the social media reaction, and felt the sting of watching Caitlin Clark's best friend celebrate at her expense. Now, she has a decision to make. Does she let this loss get to her, or does she come back stronger? One thing is certain, this isn't just another game. This is about pride, legacy, and who gets the last laugh in one of the fiercest rivalries in women's basketball. Reese has built her brand on being competitive, on proving people wrong, and on showing up when the pressure is at its highest. But now, she's facing a situation where she isn't just playing against an opponent. She's fighting against a growing narrative that she can't seem to win when it matters most. Kate Martin has already proven she can go head-to-head with Reese and walk away victorious. The last time they played, she met Reese at the rim and sent her crashing to the floor with a statement foul. She played physical, locked in defensively, and made sure Reese had to earn every single point. Now, the question is whether Reese will adjust her game or fall into the same traps. Will she try to overpower Martin and force shots in the paint, or will she play smarter, finding ways to make an impact without getting into foul trouble? There's also the psychological battle at play. Reese thrives when she's the aggressor, when she's in control of the game's energy and pace. But against Martin, she was the one reacting. She fouled out before the final buzzer, leaving Martin and the Laces to celebrate without her. That kind of moment can either light a fire inside a player or completely break their confidence. How Reese responds will tell us a lot about her mentality moving forward. The next game isn't just about wins and losses, it's about sending a message. If Reese dominates, she can shift the conversation back in her favor. But if she falls short again, especially against someone so closely tied to Caitlin Clark, it will only add fuel to the growing doubts about her ability to lead a team to success. The stakes couldn't be higher, and the basketball world will be watching to see how she answers the challenge. Caitlin Clark hasn't said a word about Kate Martin's victory over Angel Reese, but sometimes silence speaks louder than words. Anyone who knows Clark's competitive nature knows exactly how much she enjoyed watching her best friend take down her biggest rival. Clark has always been someone who lets her game do the talking, and right now, she doesn't have to say a single thing. Martin did the talking for her on the court. Clark and Reese's rivalry has been one of the biggest storylines in women's basketball for years. It's a battle of two completely different personalities. Clark, the sharp-shooting, no-nonsense competitor, and Reese, the outspoken, high-energy enforcer. Every time they step on the court together, it's a must-watch event. But what makes this moment even more satisfying for Clark is that she didn't even have to be involved. She got to sit back, relax, and watch her best friend handle business. Clark knows firsthand how tough Martin is. They spent years pushing each other in practice, leading Iowa to national prominence and proving people wrong. So when Martin stepped up and shut down Reese, it wasn't just a win for Lacey's BC, it was a win for the entire Iowa program. And for Clark, it must have been the perfect reminder that, no matter where they go, she and her Iowa teammates will always have the last word over Reese. This moment also highlights a growing shift in women's basketball. Clark has been the face of the sport, breaking records, elevating the WNBA's popularity, and becoming a household name. Meanwhile, Reese has struggled to match that level of success on the professional stage. While Clark is making headlines for her achievements, Reese's name has been tied more to drama, losses, and controversies. This latest defeat only adds to the growing divide between them. For Clark, this is about more than just basketball. It's about proving that the way she plays, focused, disciplined, and relentless, leads to real success. And whether she ever admits it or not, seeing Reese take another L, especially at the hands of Kate Martin, had to feel incredibly satisfying. This rivalry isn't just personal, it's shaping the future of women's basketball. Every time Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark's names are mentioned together, the sport gains more attention. Their battles have drawn record-breaking viewership, fueled debates on social media, and even influenced how professional leagues market their stars. But what happens when one side keeps winning and the other keeps losing? Right now, Caitlin Clark and those associated with her, whether it's her teammates, her WNBA franchise, or even her college connections, are the ones coming out on top. She's breaking records, dominating headlines, and continuing to prove she's the best player of her generation. Meanwhile, Angel Reese, despite her talent, is struggling to escape the narrative that she's more about talk than results. This moment is a turning point. If Reese doesn't bounce back soon, her rivalry with Clark could start feeling one-sided. It's no longer just about the trash talk or the social media buzz, it's about who's actually backing it up with wins. Reese is at risk of becoming the player who's always in the conversation, but never in the winner's circle. That's not where she wants to be, and it's certainly not where Unrivaled or the WNBA want one of their biggest stars to be either. For the Unrivaled League, this is both a blessing and a potential problem. On one hand, the drama between Clark, Reese, and now Martin keeps people invested. Fans love a good rivalry, and anything that keeps eyes on the product is good for business. But on the other hand, the league can't afford for one of its biggest stars to keep falling short. If Reese continues to struggle, it could hurt her marketability, and in turn, impact how the league is perceived. Women's basketball is at a critical moment, with more eyes on the sport than ever before. If this rivalry is going to continue to drive interest, it needs to stay competitive. Reese has to prove that she's not just a personality, she's a winner. If she can't do that, the dynamic of this rivalry could shift permanently, with Clark and her circle cementing themselves as the undisputed faces of the sport. The next time Reese and Martin face off, it won't just be another game. It will be a battle for respect, for momentum, and for control of the narrative. And if Reese doesn't step up, this rivalry could become yet another reminder that when it comes to women's basketball, Caitlin Clark and her crew are always one step ahead. Angel Reese has been one of the most talked about players in women's basketball. But is she living up to the hype? Her talent is undeniable. She's a dominant rebounder, a strong inside scorer, and a competitor who never backs down. But the issue isn't whether she can put up stats, it's whether she can translate those stats into wins. Reese has built a massive brand for herself, with sponsorships, endorsements, and a media presence that keeps her in the spotlight. She's one of the biggest personalities in the game, always confident and always outspoken. But here's the problem. When you talk big, you have to back it up with wins. Losing to Kate Martin and the Laces wasn't just another loss. It was another example of how Reese is struggling to dominate when it actually matters. Whether in the WNBA or Unrivaled, her teams haven't been able to make deep playoff runs, and now she's falling behind players like Caitlin Clark, who are winning on the biggest stages. This is the moment where Reese has to make a choice. Does she want to be just a media star, or does she want to be a true champion? She's got the talent, she's got the work ethic, but something is missing when it comes to winning. And until she figures that out, she'll keep falling short, while players like Clark and Martin keep stacking up victories. The rivalry between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark has always been about more than just basketball. It's a mental battle. Reese has tried to get in Clark's head before, whether through trash talk, on-court celebrations, or social media antics. But at this point, is Clark even paying attention? Clark doesn't need to respond because she's already won the psychological battle. She knows that every time Reese loses, it strengthens the narrative that Clark and her circle are simply better. It's one thing to talk trash when you're winning, but when the losses start piling up, it gets harder and harder to keep up the same energy. Kate Martin's win over Reese was another mental blow in this ongoing rivalry. Not only did Reese lose, but she lost to someone who is directly connected to Clark. That's the kind of defeat that sticks with a player, that makes them second-guess themselves the next time they step on the court. Reese is a fierce competitor, but if she doesn't shift her mindset and start focusing on winning, rather than proving a point, she's going to keep coming up short. And with every loss, Clark and her circle gain even more of an advantage, not just on the court, but in the way the world perceives this rivalry. Unrivaled was supposed to be a league that empowered women's basketball players, gave them more control, and provided them with a platform to showcase their skills. But what happens when the biggest headlines aren't about the quality of play, but about internal drama and losing records? The league's success depends on its biggest stars performing at the highest level. Caitlin Clark isn't in Unrivaled, which means Angel Reese is supposed to be one of the faces carrying the league forward. But how can she do that when she's constantly getting outplayed? If Reese keeps losing, it's going to raise serious questions about Unrivaled's legitimacy. Fans are already questioning whether the league can be taken seriously, especially with so much focus on rivalries and drama rather than actual high-level competition. There's also the issue of chemistry within the league. Some of the biggest names in women's basketball are struggling to coexist, and it's starting to show on the court. If Unrivaled doesn't find a way to shift the narrative back to the game itself, it could risk being seen as nothing more than an experiment that failed to deliver on its promises. For Unrivaled to succeed, it needs its stars to actually perform like stars. Angel Reese is at the center of that, and if she doesn't turn things around soon, the league could find itself in serious trouble. Right now, Angel Reese is at a crossroads. She can either fight back and prove that she's still one of the best players in the game, or she can continue to let the losses pile up and watch as the narrative shifts further out of her control. This isn't just about one game. It's about how Reese responds to adversity. The best athletes don't just talk about being great. They step up when the pressure is at its highest and prove it. Reese has the opportunity to rewrite this storyline, but she has to show up and deliver. Her next matchup against Kate Martin isn't just another game, it's a statement opportunity. If she wins, she can silence the critics and remind everyone why she's one of the biggest names in women's basketball. But if she loses again, the doubts about her ability to lead a team to success will only grow louder. This is the defining moment for Angel Reese. Will she rise to the occasion, or will she let Caitlin Clark's best friend own the rivalry once again? The answer will tell us everything we need to know about where Reese stands in the future of women's basketball.